Namaskaram everybody, good evening. We welcome you to the fourth day of the discourse by Dushyant Sridhar. Today's topic would be Paduka Pattabhishekam. We do have sponsorship forms at the back and some donation box too. Kindly help us. Thank you. Enjoy the program.
Ramanujadayapaatram Jnanavairagyabhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedantadeshikam Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathaya Munamadhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityam Achyuta Padambuja Yugma Rukma Vyamohadastanitarani Trinaya Mene Asmad Gurur Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye Mata Pita Yuvatayastanaya Vibhutis Sarvam Yadeva Niyamena Madanvayanam Adhyasya Kulapater Vakula Viramam Srimad Tadangri Yugalam Pranamami Murdhana Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanatha Sri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimad Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmikir Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shrinvan Rama Katha Nadam Kunayadi Param Gatim Vedavete Pare Pumsi Jate Dasharathatmaje Vedav Pracheta Sadasi Sakshat Ramayanatmana Anjananandanam Viram Janaki Shokanashanam Kabisham Akshahantaram Vande Lanka Bhayankaram Manojavam Marutadulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vadatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Sri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Anjaneya Madipathalananam Kanchanatri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Tarumula Vasinam Bhavayami Pavamana Nandanam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakāñjalim Bāshpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namadarakshasantakam. Namaskaram to all the Astikas who have gathered here in person, and being weekdays, a big group of Astikas have also been listening online. Namaskarams to them as well. Today being day 4, the title that has been given to me in the series of Srimad Ramayana Navaham is Paduka Pattabhishekam. Some scholars have opined that more than Sri Rama Pattabhishekam, Paduka Pattabhishekam is more important. We will see what is the significance of Paduka Pattabhishekam towards the end of the discourse. In Srimad Ramayanam, in Ayodhya Kandam, Bharata is a very, very important character. The name Bharata has been associated with four great people in Sanātana Dharma. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we will be coming across a great yogi called as Jada Bharata. Jada Bharata had his own births and many rebirths. He is a befitting example for the Tat Kratu Nyayam. Besides, Jada Bharata also becomes the teacher for a king called as Rahuguna Maharaja. This is one Bharata. The second Bharata comes in Srimad Ramayanam as the younger brother to Rama. His name is also Bharata. The third Bharata is the son born to Dushyanta Maharaja through Shakuntala. He was known as one of the greatest administrators. And fourth is the Bharata, who is referred to as a Muni, Bharata Muni, who is the pioneer for Natya Shastram. Hence, Natya Shastram, which has been professed and has been propagated by Bharata Muni, is famously called as Bharata Natya Shastram. So Bharata is also regarded as an abbreviation for three terms: Bhava, Raga, Tala. Bhava, Bha, Raga, Ra, Tala, Ta. Bharata is the other interpretation given for this nama. In whichever case, the name Bharata is given to a person who is very important in Sanātana Dharma. Now in Sri Ayodhya Kandam, till about yesterday, though I did mention of a certain verse, Gacchata Matulakulam Bharatena Tatha Anagaha Shatrughnaha Nitya Shatrughnaha Nita Preeti Puraskritaha, we did not deal with Bharata as a character in detail. We will be dealing with Bharata, Bharata Bhakti, and later Paduka Pattabhishekam today. Rama, when Lakshmana reprimands his father, abuses Kaikeyi, Rama stops and advises Lakshmana. Aham hite Lakshmana nityameva janami bhaktim cha parakramam cha mamattvabhipraya manam nirikshya matra sahabhya dasima sudukham. Hey Lakshmana, whatever you say, know that if my father tells me something, that is my ultimate command. Tandai cholmikka mandiram illai tells a great proverb in the Tamil language. What does that mandiram mean? In those people who undergo Upanayanam ceremony, the father is the one who teaches the son the ultimate mantram called as Gayatri mantra. So Gayatri is regarded as the best amongst the meters. Gayatrim Chandasam Mata. So this Gayatri mantra is taught by the father to the son. So Tandai Shol Mikka Mandiram Illai. So there is no other greater mantram than Gayatri. Here Dasharatha must have taught Gayatri to son Rama. No wonder the biography of Rama has Gayatri mantram in it, which is called Gayatri Ramayanam. As soon as Rama tells Lakshmana that I shall be following whatever my father has asked me to do. At this juncture, some of you whose mother tongue may not be one of the South Indian languages, may not be Tamil, may not be Kannada, Malayalam or Telugu. Is there somebody like that here? Whose mother tongue is not one of the four languages? All of you. Okay. So what do you speak, ma'am? What's your mother tongue? Rajasthani. So, if you do not belong to one of the South Indian languages, you may be wondering as to why do Pravachana Kartas, predominantly from the south of India, instead of referring to the Patram as Ram, why are they calling him Rama? why not Krishna? And why is Krishna? Because we need to respect the nuances of each and every language. Let's say Sanskritam as the language. Most of our names predominantly will be names from Sanskritam as a language. So the name Ram or Lakshman has its roots in Sanskritam. In Sanskritam, you will have to complete the word by giving the sound of the last letter. If it's Rama, then that a sound should come. Ma plus a is ma. So you cannot take that in, because when Sanskritam becomes Prakritam and Prakritam along with Avadhi, Brajbhasha, and then Hindi is formed, Hindi as a language doesn't encourage the pronunciation of the last aksharam. So it becomes Ram. Ram Lakshman Janaki. So there it is fine, though it is in Avadhi, not in Hindi particularly. But in Sanskritam you will have to give that akaram to the last aksharam, whatever be that name. If it is Uma, then you cannot make it It has to be A only there. Uma, Rama, Saumya. But the problem comes with Pullinga Vachaka Shabdam. So it is Ramaha. But you don't give that aha sound to every name, so you call him Rama. But at the same time, to prove that we are genuine South Indians, we should not unnecessarily add an extra A, Rama. Then it is wrong. Then it becomes Trilinga Vachaka Shabdam. Ramesh, in Kannada often it is said, in colloquial Kannada, we add that A. Ramesha, Baro. So that A sound shouldn't come there. In Sanskritam, in Kannada it is okay. So it is neither Ram nor Rama. It is Rama. That A sound should be heard. Well, here Lakshmana tells Rama, now that you have decided to abide by what our father has said, I shall duly follow you to the forest. Rama says, see, why do you have to bear the brunt of something that you are not subjected to? Lakshmana says, like how the sea cannot go beyond the certain area called as a coast. I am the coast to you. You cannot cross me. You will have to take me along. So he says, Rajyaschatavarакsheyam aham veleva sagaram pratijanamite veera ma bhuvam veera lokabhag. Rama tries advising Lakshmana, but then he realizes this Lakshmana is incorrigible, irreparable, irreplaceable. Okay, you can follow me to the forest. At that point in time, Rama, after having understood that Lakshmana has planned to come along with him, tells his mother Kaushalya, Mother, you should be relieved that my dear brother has promised that he will come with me, along with me to the forest. Kaushalya, she is unable to accept this very scenario, but she says, how much ever I speak or how much ever I debate, nothing is going to happen. Let me accept the situation the way it is. Rama, I am going to tie you 2 rings made of 2 herbs, Santana Karani and Vishalya Karani. These herbs, when used in your ring, and that ring is being sported by you in the forest, your body will not have any allergic reaction to the touch of poisonous leaves. See, I don't know, some of you may be able to relate to it. A lot of the students who wish to pursue their higher education in the US, when they fly down from India, there is a list of vaccines that they have to undergo. Only after getting that certificate, they will be able to apply. Similarly, Rama is going to a distant land, the forest. So the mother puts in certain precautions so that her son is taken care of. Then she tells, like how Trivikrama set out on a sojourn to win over this world. He came as Vamana, he grew in size and measured the world. So should your sojourn be. You should go to the forest, win over the people in the forest. Give them the hope that you are there and then come back. Trivikraman prakramato Vishnur Atula Tejasaha Yadasin Mangalam Rama Tatte Bhavatu Mangalam. And you may be wondering, why isn't he saying Mangalam? Why is it Mangalam? Because in Prachina Bhasha Sanskritam, in the earlier form of Sanskritam, we didn't have the letter La. Malayalathil La. That La is not there in Sanskritam. Later it was imported. Because the other local languages, regional languages started using, we imported that La. But traditionally there is no La in Sanskritam. It's Mangalam. Mangala Shasanam. It's not Mangala. Later now we call it Mangala Shasanam. It is Mangala. So, Bhavatu Mangalam. Beautifully, if you get deep into Srimad Ramayanam, Kaushalya, while blessing her son, before he sets on his journey to the forest, she tells, I bless you with the same verses. What? Vinata blessed her son Garuda. There is a verse in Ayodhya Kandam. Like how Vinata blessed her son Garuda, I am reciting those two verses and blessing you. She says, Valmiki records it. But he doesn't record those two verses. Now how do we find that out? For that, we will have to go to Mahabharatam's Adi Parva. If you go to the first of the 18 chapters of Sri Mahabharatam in Adi Parva, there is something called Garuda Upakhyanam. Vyasa, before setting forth and detailing and elucidating the entire Mahabharatam, gives a mini Mahabharatam. In Mahabharatam, Kauravas, remember who are the Kauravas? Who are the Kauravas? Who are the Kauravas? The sons of Dhritarashtra. You don't know this also. Sorry, you have come here to give lecture. Remember, Pandavas are also Kauravas. People who come in the lineage of the king Kuru were called Kauravas. So both the sons of Dhritarashtra and Pandu were Kauravas. So if Pandu's sons are called Pandavas, Dhritarashtra's sons are called Dhartarashtras. Well, in Sri Mahabharatam, Kauravas, now here Dhartarashtras, wanted to make Pandavas their slaves. At the end of the game of Dyuta Krida, they made the 5 Pandavas their slaves. That too, it was not a righteous battle. They used Shakuni, who was adept in changing the numbers and the dice and then play. So it was not a fair play. There, the symbol of the Kauravas, Duryodhana, on his flag post was a snake. The only way to rescue the Pandavas from the clutches of these snakes was to give them Gita Amritam, the elixir, the ambrosia called Bhagavad Gita. What is mini Mahabharatam? The sons of Kadru, the snakes, made Kadru's co-wife or sister called as Vinata her slave. To rescue his mother Vinata from slavery and from the clutches of Kadru, Vinata's son Garuda goes on a mission to Amaravati to bring ambrosia called Amritam. There, Pandavas were to be made slaves by Kauravas. Here, Vinata was to be made a slave by Kadru. Their snake is the symbol of Duryodhana. Here, snakes were the sons of Kadru. There, the only way to rescue was through Gita Amritam. Here, the only way to rescue was Amritam. So, Vyasa gives a mini Mahabharatam before the larger Mahabharatam. In Adi Parva, before setting on his mission to bring ambrosia, which is nectar, Amritam from Amaravati Patnam, she recites those two verses. Vinata recites those two verses. Pakshaute marutav patu chandrasuryaucha prishtataha shirascha patu vanhiste. She gives a kavacham. May all these devatas protect you, my dear son Garuda. She recites two verses. This is there in Mahabharatam. Now this is being invoked by Valmiki through Kaushalya in Ramayanam. She tells, I recite those two verses what Vinata recited, but she doesn't tell what two verses are. Later we come to know. So look at the way Valmiki and Vyasa have collaborated so beautifully. If the snitch recognizes the flesh memory in the last book, it is found in the first book. We give a Bharat Ratna to Rowling, then what can we give to Vyasa and Valmiki here? They connect two great epics of the world. Well, as she blessed Rama now goes to Sita's Antahpuram, Shuddhatma. Shrumu Janaki yenedam kramena mama Site tatra bhavam stataha prabrajayati mam vanam. I need to go to the forest, Sita. I have been asked by my father to go to the forest. See, when I go to the forest, you should not offend anyone. Have a cordial relationship with all the inmates of the house. By the end of 14 years, I will be back. Aham gamishyami mahavanam priye tvaya hivastavyamihaiva bhamini yathavyadikam kurushena kasyachit tatha tvaya karyamidam vacho mama. Remember Sita, when I go to the forest and Bharata comes from his maternal uncle's house, do not offend him. Do not treat him as a pariah who thinks that it is he who is the cause of me going on to the forest for an exile. Vipriyam chanakartavyam bharatasya kadachana sahiraja cha vaidehi deshasya cha kulasya cha. Sita tells Rama, do you think I just came on a leisure trip to Ayodhya? I was married to you. What will I do in an Ayodhya where you are not there, not for a day or a week or a month? You are not there for 14 years. What will I do here? Na pita natmajo vatma namata na sakhi janaha iha pretya chanarinam padireko gatis sada. She tells, I wish I join you on your exile to the forest. Rama tells, see, the path in the forest is full of poisonous creepers and thorns. Lata kantaka sankirnaha krikava kupanaditaha nirapascha sudukhascha marga dukkhamatovanam. You have a valid point, Rama. See, that is. You have a valid point. Yes, the path in the forest is infested with thorns and poisonous creepers. Do not worry. I shall come with you, walk in front of you, take away those thorns and make the path thorn free for you. Is that okay for you? Yaditvam prasthito durgam vanamadhyaiva raghava agrataste gamishyami mridganti kushakantakan. Sita, there will be wild beasts. You may look like a piece of meat to those beasts. They will come and eat you. Sita tells, Aham Durgam Gamishyami. I will go to the forest. She tells, I will go to the forest. What is the word? Aham Durgam Gamishyami. Durga. She tells, I will come to Durga. What is Durga? Durga andre ಏನು? ಹೇಳಿ. ಕನ್ನಡದವರು ಇದಾರಲ್ವಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ? ಹೇಳಿ. ದುರ್ಗಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Durga means protection, fort. Fortress is called Durga. ಯಾಕೆ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೆ? ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗ ಇದೆ. ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ, that fortress which is very beautiful. Durga means fortress. Mahalakshmi is called Navadurga, a modern fortress, because if we go in front of the Lord, it seems the Lord could perish us with his furious eyes looking at our papam, but she stands as a fortress between us and the Lord and protects us. Navadurga Mahakalim Brahma Vishnu Shivatmikam. So here the forests are referred to as Durgam, because if a kingdom has forests, thick forests, that itself becomes a deterrent to the enemies, because they wouldn't know how to reach the kingdom. Aham Durgam Gamishyami. I shall come to the forest, Rama. You are talking about the wild beast. Don't be worried. I am not worried because I am going to be with you. Rama says, see, I don't know on what diet you are. You may not get what you want there. If your dietitian has said you have to take this keto diet, quinoa, and all of that, where will I go for all that? You will get only phalam, moolam, tubers and roots and fruits. Sita tells, now my dietitian has given a recent diet which includes only fruits. I will come along with you. Phala moola shana nityam bhavishyami na samshayah nate dukkham karishyami nivasanti tvaya sada. Rama, you should know. While I was 6 years of age, there was a person who made a prophecy. He predicted looking at my Jatakam. Adha picha mahaprajnya brahmanana maya shrutam pura pitrgrihe satyam vastavyam kilamevane. They said your daughter will live in the forest for years together. This was a prediction made by an astrologer, Rama, to get this information confirmed. My mother even got this verified and ratified by a fortune teller. Kanyaya cha piturgehe vanavasa shruto maya bhikshinya shamavrittaya mama maturiha grataha. Rama, often my mother used to say, whoever is your husband in this janma will be the husband in 7 janmas. The moment I told this in one lecture, half the people got away. See, there is a Shruti Vakyam that whoever is your better half in this Janmam will continue for 7 more Janmas. Many people are upset with this Shruti Vakyam. They want to get rid of that person in this Janmam. Ihaloke chapiti bhirya striya yasya mahabala adbhir datta swadharmena pretya bhave pitasya sa. Rama, you are often telling me that Sita, this is heaven to you. Ayodhya is heaven. But you got the definition of heaven wrong. Wherever you are, that is heaven to me. So I will join you to the forest. Rama said, see, the forest is very, very secure. You don't have to worry about my well-being. I will take care of myself. You stay in Ayodhya. Sita thought, it is high time I make my choice very clear. I have been trying to be very, very diplomatic with this man. He doesn't seem to hear. Kim tva manyata vaidehaha pita me mithilaadipaha ramajamataram prapya striyam purusha vigraham. Kim tvam, what do you think of yourself? See, this verse in Valmiki Ramayanam has been commented so beautifully upon by a commentator called Krishna Mishra, who's Periyavachan Pillai, 950 years back, for pages together. I'm just giving you a saramsham of what he says. Kim tvam, what do you think of yourself? This is what Sita implies, it seems. Kim tvam, are you telling the world that you're a valueless person by lifting a bow and breaking just before my marriage? Remember, the bow that you broke was a broken one. You did not break a proper bow. So do not take pride in showcasing your valor to the world. Kim tvam, ulutta villai murittu lokattai oomattangai tirattin ummai. Ulutta villai, a broken bow you broke. Kim tvam anyataha, you keep taking pride in telling that I am the student of Vasishtha. Does Vasishtha abandon his wife Arundhati? Only if you practice what your Acharya does can you preach. Kim tvam anyataha Vaidehaha. When my father got me married to you, he was of the opinion that he is going to get a son-in-law who's as truthful, just, honest, sincere, simple, magnanimous and generous as him. This was his thought. Generally, he was of the opinion that he never makes wrong decisions, but today he must be realizing that he has made one. Kim tvam anyata vaideha. Rama, you should know that my father, when the entire Lanka was burning, Mithila was burning, he said, Pradiptayam Mithilayam name kinchit pradakhyate. Burning is the city of Mithila. Nothing in the city that burns is a possession that I own. But when he gave me in marriage to you, he said, I own nothing except my daughter. She's so precious to me. But you are not able to keep a prized possession of my father intact. Kim tvam anyata vaideha. My father could take care of the entire Mithila, Mithilaadipaha. But look at his son-in-law who's not able to take care of his own wife. Where is my father and where are you? Kim tvam anyata vaideha. Pita me Mithilaadipaha. I now realize, Rama Jamataram Prapya, by obtaining you as the son-in-law, Jamata, you have exemplified the saying Jamata Dashamograha. It is said that till their beloved daughter gets married, the parents would desire a great son-in-law and would be going around, Pradakshinam, around the Navagrahas, thinking that whatever be the evil effects caused by these 9 grahas should be warded off by them doing Pradakshinam, without realizing that the one who comes to the house as the son-in-law is the 10th graham. Jamata Dashamo graha. Rama Jamataram Prapya. Well, I thought, or he must have also thought, that he is getting me married to a man, but then he must have realized that you are also a man, just the man in the disguise, but a woman. Striyam Purusha Vigraham. Rama said, you come with me. Dharmastu Gajana Soru Sadbhira Charitav Pura Tamcha Hamanuvartishye Yatha Suryam Suvarchala. Like how Suvarchala follows Surya Deva, you too come with me. He could have avoided all this. Nevertheless, after convincing Sita, failing to convince Sita, Sita then tells, okay, let us go. Now they get out of the Shuddhatma, the Antahpuram. They are unable to exit the Shuddhatma because their feet was tightly held by someone. They looked down, it was Lakshmana. Sabra Dushcharanam Gadham Nipidya Raghunandanaha Sitam Uvacha Atishayam Raghavam Cha Mahavratam. Sabhratus charanau gadham nipidya raghunandanaha. Because Lakshmana earlier said, I will come with you, Rama agreed. Now he was of the opinion, now if Sita has also been agreed upon by Rama, then he may say, Sita is coming, Lakshmana, you stay with Urmila, what will I do? So I will do Sharanagathy at the feet of Mahalakshmi and Narayana. Chitraratnamaya Seshatalpamandu Sita Padini Yuchi Juchi Mitri Bhagyame Bhagyamu Saumitri Bhagyame. Telugu bhashalo Bantu ante Rajadarbharaniki unnata watchman. Royal guard is called Bantu. Tyagaraja echoes the thoughts of Lakshmana. Banturiti koluvu viyavaiya Rama. Banturiti koluvu viyavaiya Rama. Banturiti koluvu. Banturiti koluvu. I should be in the position of a royal guard. Rama asks, what qualifications do you have, Lakshmana, that you can say that you will be my royal guard? Romachamane ghana kanchukamu. When someone sings praises about you, Rama, I get goosebumps, I get horripilation. Romachamane ghana kanchukamu. What is the second attribute that you have, Lakshmana? I have a tattoo which says Rama Bhakta, Rama Bhaktudane Mudra Villayu. What is the third attribute that you have? When somebody comes as my enemy, I fight them only with using your name as the weapon. Ramanama mane Varakadgami Veera Ramanama mane Varakadgami Veera Jillu Naya Tyagaraju Nike Banturiti Koluvu Viyavaya Rama. So I have all these attributes. Sita tells, okay, this is a conversation that you're having with your brother, but what is the benefit I will have by taking you along? Mata, do you know to sweep, mop, cook, cut, wash the clothes, folding? No. Aham sarvam karishyami. I will do all this for you. Come along. Imagine somebody tells, wouldn't we also not mind? Sir, I will do everything for you. Aham sarvam karishyami jagrataha swapataschate. I will do everything for you. Sita said, if you leave this Lakshmana and come, you see, bring him along. Bhavamstu saha vaidehya girisa anushuram syase aham sarvam karishyami jagrataha swapataschate. Hey brata, hey Rama, along with Sita, you both should look at the mountains and it should be like a resort stay for you. By the time you turn and when there are showers, I will make some nice pakoda and bring. You can enjoy looking at the mountains you can have. Trust me, Vanavasam was not a curse to Rama. For 13 years they had the best of their times. Last 1 year was a big tragedy. She was kidnapped to the foreign country, then Hanuman had to go. All this happened in that last 1 year. 13 years they lived very happily. Valmiki says, Jagrataha swapataschade. Now, before leaving to the forest, there was a duty that Rama had to do. He had to give away whatever wealth he had to the poor and the needy. So he had many cows under his guardianship. So he brought all those cows from the cow shed and brought one person called Trijata. This Trijata is different from Trijata in Sundarakandam. She is a Sri Lankan national. He is an Indian national. She, he, differences. So this Trijata came and Rama said, see, you can take as many cows as you want. He should have taken 3 or 4. He said, Rama, you should tell me one number. No. You are having one stick. You throw that stick. Wherever that stick falls, till that how many ever cows are standing, you can take. He folded his dhoti well first. See, generally after a big Utsavam, when we are accorded that special hospitality with a banana leaf and a proper food, sumptuous, delicious, lavish food, it is called Tadiya Radhanam. When we sit, first thing what we will do is we loosen our dhoti. There will be one knot here. If it is manya our dhoti, no problem. But otherwise we will loosen it up here. Then we will start consuming. Likewise this person tied. So that he could throw the stick at a distance and he'll get as many cows. Sita started laughing. See, Ramayanam has Navarasam. Hasyam is one rasam. Sita started laughing. She looked at Rama and said, why is this man doing? He is planning to throw the stick elsewhere. Does he have place in his house to keep so many cows? Did he even plan for that? So this incident, Gavam sahasramapyekam nacha vishranitam maya parikshipasi dandena yavattadvapsya veyase. Sumantra, understanding the situation, comes to the Shuddhatma of Kaikeyi and Dasharatha and tells, Kaikeyi, you have to relook at your decision. This is not right, Kaikeyi. Dasharatha tells, even Sumantra is telling, I fall at your feet, Kaikeyi. Please take back your decision. Even now it is not late. Let Bharata rule the country. Let Rama stay back. She was refusing to budge. That time, Sumantra tells, Pitrana samanujayante nara matara manganaha. It is often said that daughters are like their mothers and sons are like their fathers. This is very true in your case, Kaikeyi, because you are just like your mother. Why should he bring the mother into the conversation? Because Kaikeyi's father Ashwapati Maharaja had one boon bestowed upon him by a great sage, that he will be able to listen to the conversation that animals and insects have. We don't, thank God we are not bestowed with that boon. What will animals be talking about us? Look, here comes the man. He says save environment. He says save water. He does all charitable activities, but he himself will be a part of destroying nature. Right? So animals will have a very different opinion of us. We may be rash driving and we may kill 2-3 people, and then we will teach how to be a good human being. So animals will have a different conversation. Thank God, no Rishi has given us that boon. So this king, Ashwapati Maharaja, was a great king. Because he was a yogi, he had that power to understand what animals were talking. But along with that boon, there was one small addendum that if he were to tell what he has heard to another person, he will die that very moment. Everybody knew of it, they wouldn't ask such questions. So one night while they were about to sleep, he laughed. Immediately Kaikeyi's mother asked her husband, why are you laughing? No, two ants were speaking. Very, very great comedy it was, so I laughed. You tell me please, what did they speak? You know, my dear wife, if I tell that I will die. It's okay, you tell and die. It seems she told that. Shashamsame jiva vamam vanamam tvam prahasishyasi. You tell and die. So you are also like that, Kaikeyi. Your husband is telling that if I get separated from Rama and die, you said let him get separated, it's okay if you're dying. You are just like your mother. Then, after having said this, Rama tells Dasharatha. Rama comes back. Now he comes back with Sita and Lakshmana to the Shuddhatma of Dasharatha. Lakshmana is looking with fiery eyes at Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi is not bothered. In a few minutes he would have gone. Aprichetva Maharaja Sarvesham Ishwarosinaha Prasthitam Dandakaranyam Pashyatvam Kushalena Mam. I seek your blessings, my dear father. By the time Rama could turn towards Kaikeyi, Kaikeyi brings a beautiful plate with a hermit dress. And she tells Rama, I have personally supervised in getting this dress stitched. I want to see you in this dress. Please take off those jewelry, all that is not required. See, there are many robbers in the forest, dacoits. You should take all this jewelry. Take them off. That one, yeah, take that also. You take this and go. And she immediately handed over one to Sita. And by the time she could take the plate of Lakshmana, Lakshmana comes and says, he took it. And now, as Sita was finding it very tough because it is made of bark of the trees, it is very rough. She is used to all flannel, linen and all of that. Nothing was standing on her hip. So looking at her struggling to wear this new hermit dress, the other queens, the other wives of Dasharatha start weeping. Katham nuchiram badhananti munayo vanavasinaha Itihya kushala Sita samumoha muhurmuhu. Then Rama comes running. Don't worry, Sita, I will help you. She asked, how do you know? See, we all did Gurukula Vasam under Vasishtha. So we are used to all of this. I will help you. That is when Dasharatha opens his mouth again. He tells, because Rama happens to be my son by fate, he has to bear the brunt of this wretched lady called as Kaikeyi. Why should my daughter-in-law bear the brunt? All through her forest she must wear silk saris and jewellery. He commands. Here goes the shlokam. Vanavasam hi sankhyaya vasamsya bharanani cha bhartaram anugachantyai Sitayai shvashuro dadau Lakshmana. For your sister-in-law, ensure that you carry as many saris will be required for the 14 years along with matching jewelry. From this, what do we understand? In the 14 years time period, Sita did not wear that saffron colored dress, one rudraksh, one lotus beads, nothing she wore. She wore a proper silk with a big border, mountain above it, with buttas on it, and matching terracotta jewelry, all that she. How do you know, sir? You are telling, I am quoting Ramayana for you. Now, how will you prove this? Very good point. While she is being kidnapped, abducted by Ravana, it is clearly said she wore a silk sari with a hamsam border. Correct? So she wore jewelry and she wore silk cloths. Now you may wonder, what is the point you are trying to prove? That is also important while you are taking Ramayanam to the visual medium. In all our serials, Arun Govil's wife, N.T. Ramarao's wife, Pandri Boy, Anjali Devi, everybody will be wearing one fade India clothes. But she was wearing silk clothes. So all this is important. For that we have to read the original. We read abridged versions, abridged versions, abridged version. So all this gets lost. Now, Lakshmana also sees his mother Sumitra. He goes, tells Mata, I am leaving. Sumitra tells, don't act as if you are an obedient, sincere son. By now you should have left Ayodhya along with Rama. Why are you coming and asking my permission? See, on one side there is one lady who, without her son, in her son's absence, she is asking for the kingdom. Here is another mother who tells you should have left the kingdom by now. Two extremes. Sumitra tells, just because you have come out of courtesy, I have to give you one advice. I will give you one advice. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi Gachata Yatha Sukham Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. From now on, if somebody asks, who are you? I am D. Lakshman. No, you are R. Lakshman. Your father is not Dasharatha. Your father is Rama. If somebody asks, who is your mother? Don't proudly say, Sumitra is my mother. Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. Janaka's daughter is your mother. If somebody asks, sir, what is this address? Where are you currently? Don't say I am in 79 longitude, Madhya Pradesh. No, wherever you stand, wherever Rama is, that is Ayodhya. This is not Ayodhya. Wherever Rama is, Ayodhya Atavim Vidhi. Gacha Tata Yatha Sukham. For this shloka as well, there is exquisite commentary. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. Treat your eldest brother as your father. Jeshto Bhrata Pitru Samaha. You know, in the Tamil tradition, earlier there used to be a unique tradition. The father used to be called Anna. Anna Shulluvar, you may be wondering, that person is mentioning about his brother. No, his father is referred to as Anna. And Anna should be treated like a father. Jeshto Bhrata Pitru Samaha. So from now on, Rama, your eldest brother, is your father. Madani, you know, in large joint families in those days, the first son would be married so early that the last child in that lineage will know that the eldest sister-in-law is actually the mother. Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi. What does this mean? Dasha in Sanskritam means Garuda. Dasha, one meaning is 10. Dasharatha. Dasha means Garuda in Sanskritam. Ratha means Vahanam. Dasharatha means one who has Garuda as the Vahana. Who's Narayana? Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. Treat Rama as Narayana himself. Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. Janaka's daughter is me, is one interpretation. Ma in Sanskritam is Mahalakshmi. Day 1, Saturday, August 6th at about 3:55, while describing about the death of one of the birds, the curse uttered was Ma Nishada Yat Pratishthantvam. For the interpretation for that shloka, Brahma says Ma is Mahalakshmi is what I said. Do you remember? Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. Janaka's daughter is none but Mahalakshmi. Rama is no one but Narayana. Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi. Day 2. I mentioned about the names of Vaikuntham and Ayodhya to be the same. Ayodhye aparajiteti vidita nakamparena sthita is the line I quoted of Parashara Bhatta from Rangaradastavam. So wherever Rama and Sita are, that is Ayodhya, which is Ayodhya Vaikuntham. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi, Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam, Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi, Gachatata Yathasukam. This is the second interpretation. Third interpretation, my dear son, like how your father seemed henpecked for some time and had to listen to what his wife Kaikeyi said. Later, your brother Rama may also have to listen to his wife in Aranyakandam because she will say, go behind the deer, just like his father. So your father and your brother are no different. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. Like how I am telling you as a mother, Lakshmana, go to the forest. When you are in the forest, Sita, whom you will be treating as your mother, will say, go. Somebody is calling for help, it must be your brother, go. She will tell in Aranyakandam, just like me. Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi. Just because you are all, both you and Rama are going to stay in the forest and you are going to annihilate the demoniac forces, even forests will become as secure as Ayodhya. Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi. Gaccha Tata Yathasukam. Tata. Tata in Sanskritam, what does it mean? Father. Shuka Tatam Taponidhim. Shuka's father is Vyasa. Tata means father. So she's telling her son, Gaccha Tata. My dear father, go. Oh, it doesn't imply that way. You have to take the context in which it is said. See, looking at your son, there are two ways you can tell. If you want them to do something and they are refusing to do first, then you request them. Appane, panni kudupa. So you look at your son and tell Appane, do you really mean that he is your father? So you are giving so much of respect which is not due to him, but you want the thing to get done. So, Gachatata Yathasukam, because you are going to do a noble task, I am respecting you. Out of respect, I am saying, my dear father, Gachatata. Because when people do noble tasks, even if they are much younger to you, respect is to be accorded to them. How do we know? In the first Pasuram of Tirupavai, Andal tells, Margadi Tingal Mariniranga Nannadal Neerada Poduvir Podumino Nerayir. She is looking at her friends. Till then, she was telling, hey, Aja yaar, Abe yaar, aao, in Bombay, Abe, bol, Aja. This is how she was looking at her friends. The moment she sang Tirupavai, मेरे मित्रगण, आदरणीय मित्रगण, आप सभी लोग मेरे साथ आ जाइए. The friends started looking at each other. What is wrong with her? She was talking normally. She is giving respect. The commentator says, when you are on a journey out of devotion, even people younger to you have to be given respect. Gacchata tayata sukham. After telling this, she tells, Pinnum Pagarval, the Tamil poet says, Pinnum Pagarval Magane Ivan Pinchal Tambiyannum Paniyandru Adiyarin Eval Cheidi Mannum Nagarke Avan Mandidilva Andrel Munnel Mudiyenna Palmulai Shoran Indral. She tells her son, my dear son, it is very, very tough for me to tell you this, but I am still telling you. In your journey and in your stay in the forest, if at all there comes a situation where Rama may have to die out of forest fire or some reason, You should be the one who should be his protection. Try protecting him, and you should die first, even before he dies. Will any mother tell this? First of all, will any mother send? If Rama is being asked to go to the forest, any other mother would tell Lakshmana, see, he's very busy. Urmila has given him some job. He has gone on a tour. He will get back. He wishes a safe journey to Rama. This is what any mother will say. You tell, if you are in Sumitra's position, will you send your son? Somebody has to go to the forest. It is his karma he is going. We will give all philosophical lessons then. But she is saying, you have to go. Well, after this, Kaushalya, she tries to go behind the chariot which is ferrying Rama, Lakshmana and Sita. The people in the city started crying. The Tamil poet Kamban tells who all cried. Killayodu Puvai Eluda, Kilarmadathu Ullurai Poosai Eluda, Avum Eluda, Adan Kandrum Eluda, Uruvariya Pillai Eluda Endral, Periyorai Ensolla, Vallal Vanam Puguvan, Enduraitha Maatrattal. He tells the cats which sit on the outside pedestals of the house, instead of going inside and drinking the milk, they started coming out and started shedding tears. The cows cried, the calves cried. Nothing surprising, but even the fetuses which had not seen Rama because they were not being given birth to, that were housed in the amniotic sacs of their mother, also cried. Uruvariya Pillai. They also cried. So, as Rama left Ayodhya along with Sita, Sumantra escorted them. Now, the people of Ayodhya, they started taking their bags and followed Rama. Rama thought, what is this now? Forest will become Ayodhya. Ayodhya will become forest. So that night, Rama, Lakshmana and Sita were stationed one place. All the Ayodhya Vasis were happy. All of us, we were waiting for when we will get a journey like this. We will go with Rama for 14 years, spend time with him and come. Next morning when they got up, they found the three of them missing. Because Rama thought, I should leave them. If I tell them, they won't understand. I should leave this place and go. Anurakta Mahatmanam Ramam Satya Parakramam Anujagmuhu Prayantam Tam Vanavasaya Manavaha. So Dasharatha, the moment he understands that Rama has left, he waits for that very moment when Sumantra will come back, because Sumantra has to drop the three of them. Sumantra comes. Dasharatha asks, What was the parting message that my son Rama said? Rama said, Sumantra informs, Shirasa Vandaniyasya Vandyau Padau Mahatmanaha. Sumantra, on my behalf you go and prostrate at the lotus feet of my father. I wanted to do Abhivadaye to my father. Dasharatha starts crying more. He didn't have any other message. Yes, he had a message to Mata Kaushalya. Kaushalya wakes up. What message did my son Rama give? Attend to my father's needs, because Kaikeyi may not be able to attend. You have to take care of my father. But at the same time, Mata Kaushalya, do not bear any grudge towards Kaikeyi. She is superior, greater. She is greater to me than you. He tells, Anurajana Maryam cha Kaikeyim Ambakaraya. Mata Kaushalya, when Bharata returns, please do not rebuke him. He is a great brother to me. Kumare Bharate Vrittir Vartivyascha Rajavat. I have one message to Bharata as well, Sumantra. Please tell Bharata to treat my mother Kaushalya at par with Kaikeyi. He should, because in my absence, Kaushalya should not feel that she is missing me. Bharata should be that Rama to him. Then Dasharatha asks, did Sita give any message? Sumantra tells, Mumocha sahasabashpam prayantam upavikshasa. While she tried opening her mouth, she just had copious tears running down her cheeks. She couldn't talk. Did Lakshmana give any message? Sumantra said, yes, he did give, but I don't know how to say that. Please say it, Sumantra. Aham tavan maharajam pitrutvam no palakshaye bhrata bharta cha bandhuscha pita cha mama raghava. Tell my father that he is not my father anymore. For me, my father, my friend, my mother and father and guru is my brother Rama. Dasharatha got a piece by true son. He has the fortune to stay with the apple of my eye, Rama, whereas I am not able to. Kaikeyi left the Anthapuram. You will give all such filmy dialogues. Dasharatha was not able to see anything. He said, I can only hear the sound of the hoofs, the horses that are running away. Rama has gone. This is all I can hear, but Kaushalya, trust me. In a few minutes from now, I will be gone. Kaushalya, why are you saying this, Swami? Kaushalya, while I was young, I was a great hunter. I went on a hunting expedition to the forest. I suddenly heard the sound of some waters in the lake close by. I thought the elephants had come to drink water. Gajaha jalam pibanti. In Dhanurveda, Kaushalya, there is one astram which can just trace the target by just listening to the audio. It's called Shabdavedi. I left that Shabdavedi thinking that I would be attacking the elephant. But when the Shabdavedi went and hit the target, all I could hear was the wailing of a little boy. I went to the banks of that particular pond, Kaushalya, but I saw a little boy, skinny, withering in pain. I went close to the boy, took him, placed his head on my lap and asked, who are you, my dear boy? He said, I am Shravana Kumara. Raja, my parents are blind. I carry them forest after forest, village after village. Today my father, he said, Shravana Kumara, can you please fetch me some water? Being a dutiful son, I came to the pond. Probably you thought I was an elephant. You have hit me hard, Hey Kshatriya Raja. Please take these waters because I will be dead in a few minutes now. Please take these waters to my father. Give them to my father. Let him drink. And then you may inform that I am dead. Dasharatha takes the water, goes to the king and offers this, goes to Shravana Kumara's father and offers this to him. By taking the waters, he just happens to touch the fingers of Dasharatha and says, this is not my son. My son will not have such strong arms, strong fingers. This seems to be the fingers of some Kshatriya. Please reveal yourself, he asked Kaushalya. I said, my name is Dasharatha. I didn't want to kill your son, oh gentleman, but I happened to kill because I thought your son was an elephant. That very moment, the father and the mother rolled on the ground out of pain. And they said, Dasharatha, he was our only escort. He was the only one who could bring solace to us, and you have taken that away from us. Dasharatha, but I curse you. Whether you have committed this mistake knowingly or unknowingly is not the point, but you have separated our son, our dearest son, from us. Mark our words. You shall be separated from your son, and this separation will be the cause of your death. Tvamapyekata drisho bhavaha kshiprameva gamishyati jivitanta karodho ghoro dataramiva dakshinam. One of the tallest leaders in India during the freedom movement was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. In his book he records, I'm just reading out the lines of Gandhi. As a rule, I had a distaste for any reading beyond my school books, but somehow my eyes fell on a book purchased by my father. It was Shravana Pitra Bhakti Natakam, a play about Shravana's devotion to his parents. I read it with intense interest. The book left an indelible impression on my mind. Here is an example for you to copy. I said to myself, the agonized lament of the parents over Shravana's death is still fresh in my memory. This is from Gandhi's book. Now the king started lamenting. He said, I've lost all my senses. And his Jivatma left the Pancha Bhautika Shariram. The irony. He had performed an Ashwamedham for 1 year and a Putrakameshti later, based on Shukla Yajurvedam and Atharvana Vedam respectively, desiring sons. He got not 1, he got 4, but none of them were besides him while he was dead. They did not know what to do with his body. 2 of them had gone to the forest. The other 2 were in Afghanistan. So it will take at least 1.5 days for them to reach this place. So they had to preserve the body. So they mummified the body using herbs and put that in a hot oil trough. So goes the shlokam. Taila dronyam tadamatyaha samveshya jagati patim. He was put in an oil casket. Now, Rama, Lakshmana and Sita had left Ayodhya. Who, in the 3 of them, as they walked in the forest, who walked first? Rama. In the middle? Sita. And Lakshmana. This is what we know. This is how we have seen in most movies, most pictures. Remember, in Ayodhya Kandam, Lakshmana walks first, Sita in the middle, Rama at the end. In Aranya Kandam, Rama walks first, Sita in the middle, Lakshmana in the end. The shlokam is, Avashyam Rakshanam Karyam Madvidhaur Vijanevane Agrato Gacha Saumitre Sita Tvam Anugachatu. Rama tells Lakshmana, you walk in the front, let Sita follow you, I will follow Sita. In Ayodhya Kandam. Why? Why this order change? For that the commentator tells. In Ayodhya Kandam and during the commencement of Aranya Kandam, as they continue their journey in the forest, they end up meeting great devotees and sages such as Atri, Bharadwaja, Guha, Sutikshna, Sharabhanga, Valmiki, Agastya. Great acharyas they meet. So, as a dutiful father, see, Rama treats himself as a father to Lakshmana. You will always want your children to be the beneficiaries of the benevolent glances of great acharyas. So you will put your children in the front. So did Rama do to Lakshmana. Later in the second half of Aranya Kandam, Khara, Dushana, Trishiras, Kabandha, Virada, Ravana and other demons come. So as a dutiful father, he wanted to position him first, protecting Sita and Lakshmana at the back. So first the position was Lakshmana in the front, Paritranaya Sadhunam. In Aranya Kandam second half, Vinashaya cha Dushkritam. That is how Dharma Samsthapanam can happen. Dharma Samsthapan Arthaya. So what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is proven in Ramayana. So practice comes first and preaching comes later. But we are told, practice, what is the saying? Preach before you practice, correct? Which is wrong. Practice what you preach. Means preaching first, then practicing later. This is not what Sanātana Dharma tells. You practice first, then only you will be qualified enough to preach someone. So it is preach what you practice and not practice what you preach. So Rama does this. The trio, the 3 of them, they take bath in the most holiest of the rivers, which is Ganga. Tatra tripathagam divyam shitatoyam ashaivalam dadarsha raghavo gangam ramyam rishini shevitam. Because this Ganga arises from the feet of Vishnu, Brahma's kamandalam, and has association with Shiva's matted locks and then flows on earth. Pala pushpai kisalaye vrittam gulmai dvijayisthata Vishnu padakchutam divyam apapam papanashinim shimshumaraischa nakraischa bhujangaischa samanvitam shankarasya jatajuta dhrashtam sagara tejasa. Then Sita, while she crosses Ganga, she prays to Ganga. If all 3 of us reach Ayodhya safely after 14 years, I will offer you 1 lakh cows. She is like a proper devotee. If my son passes in the exam, 108 coconuts. Whose coconut? From Kerala I'll get. Break that coconut. If my son passes in the exam. If your son has studied well and if his karma is good, he will pass in the exam. But somehow we are used to that in Sanātana Dharma. I will do this, then I will get this. So, Sa Tvam Devim Namasyami Prashamsami Ja Shobhane Prapta Rajye Naravyagre Shivena Punaragate Gavam Shatasahasram Cha Vastranyanya Cha Peshalam Brahmanebhya Pradasyami Tava Priya Chikirshaya. So, as they cross the Ganges, they reach a small village called as Sringiverapuram. The Sringiverapuram had the leader of the hunters who was also managing a large fleet of boats. His name was Guha. Tatra Raja Guho Nama Ramasyatma Samasakha Nishada Jatyo Balavan Sthapatis-cheti Vishruta. The moment Guha was told that Rama has come, he comes running. And as he comes at that lightning speed on the waters of Ganga, he splashes himself with the water. And as he walks by the banks of river Ganga, the fine alluvial soil by the banks of river Ganga gets attached, gets smeared on his body. He looks like one dirty person. And he comes and stands before Rama. He feels that he doesn't have the necessary qualifications to even stand before Rama. He falls at his feet. Rama says, get up, come here. Why did you fall at my feet? No, I thought you were a great, what great person, you are my close friend, come here. And he started hugging. Sita thought, when did he become a close friend with her? I have never seen him in his friends list. So I don't know what is this forest journey up to, whom and all he's going to call him his friend, because later a monkey called Sugreeva will become his friend. Later one Rakshasa called Vibheeshana will become the friend. Kundrushulvan Magarunadan Aruvarano Ninnodu Eluvarano. What comment tells? Well, then Guha comes and offers different kinds of food. See, there are 4 kinds of food which Shastram agrees. As much as possible, you should always consume food with hands. You should not have food directly. For example, cone ice cream is not allowed, whereas cup ice cream is okay. So there should be a medium between the food and you. There should be the hands. This is what Shastram tells. Now there are 4 kinds of food. Some food which can be consumed, like payasam or something like that. Some like lehyam. You know, during the Deepavali occasion, because we have too many bhakshanams filled with oil, they will make a medicine in the house. It is called Deepavali lehyam. At times Deepavali lehyam will taste better than the bhakshanams. So that lehyam can be consumed directly from the hand. So there are certain exceptions. So all these kinds of food was presented to Rama by Guha's master chefs. Rama said, see, I cannot have all of these. Sorry, today we are on liquid diet. Sita, both of us will be on liquid diet, he said. Okay. He said, I won't have all of these. Whereas when Shabari gave fruits, he consumed. When Guha gives fruits, he is not consuming. When Shabari gives fruits, he consumes. So what is the conclusion? He is against Guha. Boycott Rama movement. He is against Guha. I don't know why. Shabari is from Maharashtra, Guha is from Uttar Pradesh, he is pro-Maharashtra. All these things will come. Correct? No. Because Shabari had an association of a guru, an acharya called Matanga. When there is an acharya sambandham, God will accept your offerings straight away. Guha did not have acharya sambandham, so Rama refuses to take. Now we may ask, sir, Guha is not exposed to all these philosophies and theology, so he may not know. How is it his mistake? Then Rama realizes, the next day when Guha offers, he consumes. He says, he thinks in his mind that for this Guha who is bereft of an acharya, I will myself become the acharya and consume. So there is a philosophy in this as well. I was telling you, right, that in Sanātana Dharma you have to consume food through hands and not directly food, because most animals consume food like that. See, cow, let's take a dog or a cat, they will eat the food directly. Whereas Manava Janaha, Naraha should take through hands. So this is Acharam, this is orthodoxy. Whether we agree with that or not is our problem. But in Srimad Ramayanam, Rama is an epitome of Acharam. Achara Shilo Ramaha. Now you may ask another question. Sir, you are saying he is orthodox. Was he a non-vegetarian? Yes, Rama was a non-vegetarian. Sir, I thought he was a pure Sattvic Jain food vegetarian, sir. Rama was a non-vegetarian. Now what do we do? Because over the years we have assumed that only vegetarians will get moksha. Sanātana Dharma doesn't make vegetarianism mandatory. It makes it optional. For certain communities, it is made mandatory. Even Brahmanas before the time of Agastya were consuming meat. After Agastya's time, they started consuming only vegetarian food because their profession did not demand so much of calories. Kshatriyas were non-vegetarians. Some of them chose to be vegetarians. That is okay. What non-veg can you consume? In Kishkinda Kandam, Vali questions, for which Rama says, Pancha Panchanakaha Bhakshya. 5 nailed 5 animals on certain days, if it is consumed, it may not affect the Sattva Gunam of the practicing person. What are those 5 animals? Porcupine. Though the animals that non-vegetarians consume today have no relationship with what is mentioned in Ramayana. Iguana, tortoise. See, that porcupine needles, whatever they have, is what is retained after the meat is consumed and is used in Simantonayanam. When the Pumsavanam happens, they will use porcupine needles. Well, that is a separate topic. Now I have to stick to Ramayanam. Now, Rama consumed non-veg, point number 1. But he was orthodox. We may say, how can he be orthodox when he consumes non-vegetarian food? First of all, you can be orthodox when you consume non-vegetarian food as well. Well, what was Rama and Achara Shila? What does Shastram tell? You have to eat through hands. That is why 3 animals associated with Rama and Ramayanam are also like Rama. Rama is compared to an elephant. Yesterday I read out a shlokam. Matta matanga gaminam. When Rama walks, even an elephant will feel shy that it is not able to match that majestic gait of Rama. So Rama is compared to an elephant. An elephant is a special animal because it has one hand-like structure called a trunk. So it will use that hand-like structure called as a trunk, like how we human beings used to put food into its mouth. So Rama, like how he is, even his simile is like that. Who helped Rama? The monkeys. How do monkeys have food? Through hands. Which assisted monkeys in the Setu Bandhanam? Squirrels. Squirrels also use their hand. So Vedanta Deshika remarks in Shatadushani that Rama and his animals are also like him. So he offered food. Now Vedanta Deshika tells Nishada Raja Sauhrida Suchita Saushilya Sagara Mahato Mandaihi Saha Nirandrena Swabhavaha Saushilyam. Water, though being at a high level, it will always flow to the low level. That is the natural flow of the water. The Lord, despite being an epitome of grace and mercy, will always come down to the devotee's level. This is called Saushilyam. Vedanta Deshika says, Nishadanam Neta Kapikulapatihi Kapishabari Kuchela Kujjasa Brajayuvatayo Malya Kridati Amisham Nimnatvam Vrishagiripater Unnatimapi in Dayashatakam. Well, that is said by one side. As soon as they reached the forest in Guha Shringiverapuram, they stayed. Did Lakshmana sleep? Lakshmana did not sleep, sir. This also you do not know. When N.T. Ramarao slept, did Shivaji Ganeshan wake up? Shivaji was Bharata, whoever was Lakshmana. So, we have often been told that Lakshmana did not sleep, correct? You know, there is a Ramayanam in the Bengali language. Can you tell what is that Ramayanam called? In Tamil it is called Kamba Ramayanam. Mulla Ramayanam is there in Ranganatha Ramayanamu is there in Telugu. There is a Tyagaraja Ramayanam again in Telugu. There is a Kumara Valmiki's Ramayanam in Kannada. There is a Tunjattu Ramanuja Eduttachan's Adhyatma Ramayanam in Malayalam. There is a Bhavartha Ramayanam in Marathi. There is a Jaganmohana Ramayanam in Odisha. In Odia language, there is a Jaganmohana Ramayanam. There is one Ramayanam in Nepali. Can you tell? Bhanubhaktacharya's Ramayanam. There is a Kakavin Ramayanam in Javanese. In Sanskritam, there are many, countless. Raghuvamsham, Anargharagavam by Murari. Then you have got a Bhoja Ramayanam, Champu Ramayanam by Bhoja Maharaja. You have got Apurva Ramayanam, Ananda Ramayanam, Adhyatma Ramayanam. You have got Ramayanam in Vanaparva of Mahabharatam. You have got Ramayanam in the Chaturthamsham of Vishnu Puranam. You have got Ramayanam in Navamaskantam of Bhagavatam. Ramayanam is found everywhere. What is a Ramayanam in Bengali? It is called Krittibasa's Ramayanam. It is a beautiful version. Now he will come up with little digressions here and there. That is okay. If you take a beautiful painting made in the 17th century, it will show Rama seated on the asana with Sita, and then Bharata holding the umbrella and Lakshmana doing the Chamara Kaikariyam. If you see Lakshmana, he will be sleeping like this. For which that painter who did that day says, because he did not sleep for 14 years, he caught up with his sleep here. This is what we have been told, he did not sleep for 14 years. Medically, is it possible? You tell me. Ramayanam is so relatable to us. Is it relatable that a person has not slept for 14 years? 14 into, let's say for calculation purposes, 300 days. 300 into 14. Where will that number go? Fourth day you don't sleep itself, your pressure will rise, you have to go to the doctor, he will give you one here, I don't know what tablet they will give, they won't give tablet. Going to a doctor is also tough. So you may get some medicine, if at all you can, if you don't get sleep, at least try listening to discourses. If you listen to pravachanam, at least you will get, there is one kush payasam that is made, it's called gasa payasam. That also you can try. So, did Lakshmana sleep or not? That is $1 million question. Now, in Ayodhya Kandam is a shloka. The next morning, Rama wakes up Lakshmana. There is a shlokam. Bhaskarodaya kalo saugata bhagavati nisha asau sukrishno vihagaha kokilastata kujati barhinam cha nirghoshaha shuyate naratambane tarama janhavi saumya shigragam sagaram mamam. He tells, see, the sun has risen. My dear Lakshmana, wake up. He tells. With that, the Sanskrit commentator says, Yetena Chaturdasha Varsha Pariyantam Lakshmanaha Swapahinaha Anaharascha iti Lokapravalaha Apastaha. So he says, thereby with this proves that the famous version that is going around in this world, not now, when the commentator wrote that Lakshmana did not eat anything for 14 years, did not sleep for 14 years, is broken. That myth is busted. So he slept. Now why do people say he did not sleep? See, that is also true. He did not sleep is also true. How? See, my grandmother, she had some sleeping disorder. She used to wake up just like this and she used to work and then she used to sleep. So it was not deep sleep. So when she used to tell people that I did not sleep at all, I did not sleep at all, I will immediately go and say, Party, don't lie. Yesterday night 10:30 I saw you sleeping. What does she mean? Sleeping and sleeping properly, there is a difference. When you sleep now, okay, at 9:05 when I say Kavitarkika Simhaya only, you should wake up. That is proper sleep. In the middle, when I come to the mic and shout and you wake up, then that is not proper sleep. You are able to differentiate? So Lakshmana did sleep, but he did not sleep properly. So they often said that he did not sleep properly. So there is a difference in the way we say. Nevertheless, On the other hand, after visiting Shringibherapuram Guha's place, he goes to Bharadwaja Ashramam. Bharadwaja gives him proper food. Rama is a Achara Shila. He will not eat food cooked by a third person. You know, even our ancestors for a very long time were like that. They were called Paranam. They will not eat food cooked by anybody else. That is how they live. Now we can't even check who's cooking food for us. Right? So they send some videos of people spitting in the food before they distribute all that. So Paranam was the trade secret in those days. So Rama was a Achara Shila. But Bharadwaja is so trusted by Rama that he says, you give me food, I will eat. But the irony is, Krishna was tad opposite. He will eat anybody's food, everybody's food. How can you prove that, sir? See, he is eating our bhakshanams. The chidais that we make during Gokula Ashtami, if Krishna is consuming, you imagine his taste must be so low. So he is eating our food as well. But the irony is, Rama won't eat anybody's food. But in this world, if somebody is a glutton, he is called Sapattu Raman. Krishna is the one who eats food. But Rama is called Sapattu Raman. Nevertheless, the trio, they all visit the forest, and upon Bharadwaja's recommendation, they go to a place called as Chitrakutam by the banks of river Mandakini. You must visit this place when you are in India. Even today when you go there, you will find it absolutely serene. Chitrakutam by the banks of river Mandakini. While this was on one side, Bharata in Afghanistan, Gandhara Desham, Kekeya Desham, had a dream. Swapne pitaramadraksham malinam mukta murdhajam patantamadri shikharat karushe gomaye klade plavamanascha me drishtaha satasmin pibannanjalina telam asanniva muhur. He wakes up from his sleep and exclaims to his brother Shatrughna, I dreamt of our father being in a very, very mentally disturbed state, disheveled hair, with oil smeared all over his body. He was moving in the southern direction and fell into a big pit filled with dung. This is what I dreamt. And then he says, I feel there is something wrong in Ayodhya. Shatrughna, we must start from this place immediately. By the time he says this, and then the sun rises and they are about to get out of their Shuddhatma, comes a messenger from Ayodhya. Vasishta had told that messenger, see, you should not tell Bharata that Dasharatha is dead and brother Rama has gone to the forest. You must speak only the truth. Go. The soldier was confused. You are telling me not to tell all of this and you are asking me to speak the truth. Catch 22 situation. So he went there. He did not know what to say, but Bharata asked, is the one who is being coronated in good health? This man thought for some time. Who is the one who is coronated? Dasharatha. Where is he? He is dead. Who should be the next king? Rama. Where is he in the forest? Who is the next one? Bharata. He is the one to be coronated. How is he? He is good. So yes, he is good. He is good. So then they bring him to Ayodhya. On the way, Bharata sees that people who are generally very welcoming, they will have one Harati plate and they will say, na 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 Bharata. Nobody was welcoming him. They closed their doors. What is the problem with the citizens of Ayodhya? So he went to the harem of his mother Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi said, my dear son, I've just been waiting for you to come. Come, my dear son, the future king. Wrong dialogue. Why am I the future king? You are the future king. You are lamenting something, mother. I will go to the harem of my father. Your father is not there. Where has he gone? He has gone. Where? Wherever our Atmas have to go. What? The father's Jivatma has departed from his body? Yes. Mother, what are you telling? Where is my dear brother Rama? He has gone to the forest. Why has he gone to the forest? See, Bharata, they were hatching a plan to throw both of us away. I wanted to make you the next administrator. I told your father acted as if he has got an attack and he died. And your brother has gone to the forest. I wanted to give you maximum protection, my dear son. Are you my mother? You shall not, you cease to be my mother this very moment. Tvaya tvadidanim dharmajna rajatvam avalamvyatam tvatkrutehi maya sarvam idamevam vidam kritam. He goes running with tears running down his cheeks to the Shuddhatma of Kaushalya. He falls at her feet. Mata, I am not able to see you, Mata. For all the distress that this kingdom has undergone because of the departure of Dasharatha's Atma from his body and Rama's departure to the forest is all because of me, Mata. Please forgive me, Mata Kaushalya. Kaushalya tells, don't act as if you do not know what your mother has done. This goes and pinches deep into the heart of Bharata. Mata, will Rama Mata also doubt me? If you ever think that me as Bharata was nurturing this thought that I should become the future king and Rama should languish in the forest, let me be the recipient of all these 46 narakas, and he lists down them. Yadu preshyam papiyasa, those people who work for people who do not follow ethical practices, I will get that narakam. Hantupadena suptam gam, when a cow is resting and a person goes and kicks and wakes that cow up, whatever naraka he gets, I will get. I shall be accorded that naraka, the same as a master who imposes the heaviest burden on his workforce. I still remember the days when we used to have porters in India. Now we get all those suitcases that used to come before at the back of us. Now they walk alongside us. So during the porter days, I don't know how many of you remember the Chennai Central, Bombay Central, Bangalore Cantonment, especially Chennai Central, long platform. And our karma, the compartment will be to the end. And we will be carrying 25 kilos of tur dal from one place to another because it will be 50 paisa lesser. And then we will bargain with the porter, half an hour bargain. He will ask for 10 rupees, we will tell 8 rupees, then after half an hour we will settle for the average, 9. Then that porter has to carry that big pack on his head. And we will be having a small bag. Adiyum kudugu. What? Let him lift. We are paying him 9 rupees. What all atrocities we have committed. Karayitva mahat karma bhrityam anarthakam. People who do not know how to respect their maids and impose heaviest burden on them, narakapatnam. One who harms a good king, when a person has been selflessly working for the country and there is an opposition hatching plans to take him away, then that is a narakapatnam. One who fails to obey the rules of good warfare, if they kill Drona's son Drauni Ashwathama, killed the 5 sons of Pandavas in the night. Masmaka Shitsatam Yuddhe. People who listen to great philosophies and forget the meaning, what they have learned, they will go to Naraka, it seems. Please write it down. Nashayastyu susukshmartham shastram upadishtam yatnena dhimata. Like this, he lists down 46 narakas and says, I should go to all these 46 if I have ever thought that Rama should suffer. Then Kaushalya wakes him up and says, see, I didn't mean it that way. She could have told her the first itself. 46 narakas he lists down. Then he goes to Vasishtha. Vasishtha, he opens his mouth. Then Vasishta says, Bharata, I wanted to ask you, when can we fix the date for the coronation? You are my Acharya, Vasishta. Don't you know that I will never live in a city that is bereft of Rama? Then he takes the entire Ratha, Gaja, Turaga, Padadi to the place where Rama was in the forest. As he stands by the banks of river Ganga on one side with Sumantra, and on the other side is Guha. Rama has left Guha's place. Guha knows roughly that Bharata will become the next king, and he has been mistaking that Bharata will be the one to annihilate Rama. So he is waiting for a moment where he could fight Bharata. So on the other side of Ganges is Bharata with Sumantra. He is asking Sumantra, there is someone who is standing there with bow and a quiver of arrows. Is that Rama? No. Bharata, that is not Rama. That is Rama's close friend Guha. This conversation of introducing Guha to Bharata by Sumantra is a masterpiece in the Tamil Ramayanam. Gangairu karagudayan kadakirandanaavayan ungal kulanadarkku uyir tunaivan uyartholan vingarayin yeru anayan virpiditha velayinan karkana tinmayan karaikana kadalan guhan ennum peyarudayan. Hey Bharata, you see Ganges flowing here. She may be well protected by both her banks. There is a limit. There is a measure to the flowing Ganges. But if there is something which is immeasurable, it is that of the love what Guha has for your brother Rama. He may look very strong. He may be looking like a Kshatriya who is ready to fight. But he will melt like wax in front of your brother. He has that much of love for your brother. Bharata runs across the flowing waters of Ganges to meet Guha. Guha, who was initially of the thought, telling his hunters, let this Bharata come, we will teach him a lesson. As Bharata keeps running towards Guha, he tells, my dear hunters, I feel looking at the posture in which Bharata is coming. He must not mean any harm to Rama. Let him come. As Bharata comes with tears running down his cheeks, looking very, very akin to Rama, and Shatrughna looking akin to Lakshmana, Guha asks, have you come to do any harm to Rama, Bharata? If you say, then I will fight with you. Then Guha tells, Bharata tells, my brother had forgotten two things while leaving our city. What is it? He forgot me and the city. I have come to hand over myself and the city both to him. Guha started shedding tears. He said, all this while I thought Rama was the greatest of the human beings whom I have come across and met. But today I realize, even if 1,000 Ramas were put together, they cannot equal one Bharata. Ayiram Ramar Ninkel Avaro Terinamma. What kind of a devotee I have seen in front of my eyes, Bharata. There is no one as great as you. என் புகழ்கின்றது ஏழையேயினேன் இரவி என்பான் தன் புகழ் கற்றை மற்றை ஒளிகளை தவிர்க்குமா போல் மண்புகழ் பெருமையின் உங்கள் மரபினோர் புகழ்கள் எல்லாம் உன்புகழ் ஆக்கிக் கொண்டாய் உயர்குணத்து உயர்ந்த தோளாய். You know, Ramayana, the more you read, the more you get into it, it will just throw open an ocean of knowledge in front of you. As soon as Guha tells this, then Bharata asks, Guha, I heard that my brother, my sister-in-law and my other brother Lakshmana were at your place. Please show me where they slept. Then Guha tells, this is the rugged floor on which Rama slept. Bharata falls onto the ground and cries, where is that Panchatulika Shayanam, and where is this rugged floor? I have been the cause of Rama's distress. But what should have been his next question? Where did Sita sleep? He didn't ask. Why? Because the dust on the floor was laden in gold. Since she was Mahalakshmi, wherever she sleeps there will be gold. Hiranya Varnam Harinim. Then he asked, where did Lakshmana sleep? Guha said, I will not be able to tell you that because Lakshmana was very doubtful of me. He thought that I will cause some harm to Rama and Sita, so he went around them throughout the night protecting the divine couple. Where did you sleep, Guha? I was very doubtful of Lakshmana and so I went around him. Where did your hunters, your tribal people sleep? They were very doubtful of us, so they went around us. So that night, except Rama and Sita, nobody slept. Bharata says, look at my brother. He is there only to offer servitude and services to my brother Rama, and look at me, I have been the cause of his distress. And I should have never been born, Guha. I have caused so much of distress to my brother. After telling this, he goes to Bharadwaja ashramam. Bharadwaja tells, Bharata, you've still not been coronated? You are the last in the list to hurt me, Bharadwaja. My mother, my father, my brother's mother, Vasishtha, Guha, how many of them have misunderstood my thoughts and feelings? Now you are in the list, nothing hurts me. You are just flogging a dead horse. Bharadwaja feels remorse and says, I shouldn't have done that. They are living in Chitrakuta. So Bharata marches to Chitrakuta. As he marches to Chitrakuta, because of the huge army, the impending army that comes, there is a huge mountain of dust which is raised because of the army. You know, in the north, I don't know, while I used to study in Pilani, we used to get something called as Andhi. In the north of India, you get those loo winds. They carry fine dust. So the moment Lakshmana realizes the Andhi coming, he gets to the top of a tree, sees some army coming with some emblems of Ayodhya. He gets down and tells, Rama, Sita, you get inside. Rama feels, when I was in Ayodhya, they said get outside. When I come outside, you tell me get inside. Where should I go? Why should I go? That man is coming. Which man? The Kaikeyi's son. Bharata is coming. Is Bharata coming, Lakshmana? Yes, that Bharata is coming. He's coming with his army, probably to kill you. Lakshmana, you get down from the tree. Come here. See, I was thinking all along that you are there to serve me, but you are desirous of that kingdom. It is not Kaikeyi or Bharata. You take that Ayodhya, you go. I will take Bharata and go to the forest. My dear brother Rama, I never said so. Why are you talking bad things about our brother Bharata? We have all grown up together. Has he ever forwarded such an evil thought either to you and me? How do you harbor such evil thoughts against our brother Bharata? Get out! No, I know Bharata is good. You don't have to open your mouth. Come here. Then Bharata comes. He did not even want to face Rama. He put his head down, palms up, hands up, and just ran towards Rama. He fell at the feet of Rama and said, I won't be able to see you. Rama said, no, you have to sit on my lap. You are my dear child. Will I ever misunderstand you? And he kissed him on his forehead, like how a father does for the son. While leaving to the forests on day 2, Dasharatha kissed Rama on his forehead. He pulled Bharata and said, why are you crying? Rama, I have been the cause of your agony. No. Where are you in the picture? What if you rule Ayodhya or I rule Ayodhya, Bharata? Bharata tells, no Rama, I can't see you in this posture of having matted locks. See, Rama throughout his 14 years did not cut his hair or shave. Remember, Often in our movies, they will be with Gillette, clean shaven face. I don't know why. He has a huge jata. He had long hair. Kakapaksha dharam veeram. Before leaving to the forest, he tied and used the milk of the banyan tree. That was that set wet gel. And he had a huge beard. By the time he finished 14 years, like Manmohan Singh, he had one long beard. The first thing Bharata arranged after his return was Mashruvardhanaha. In Pattabhisheka Sargam it will come. Mashruvardhana means barber. He had a long beard. See, that is why I am telling iconography is very important in Shastra. You can't even imagine a Rama with a long beard. Because we are so used to seeing him with a clean shaven face. He had a huge beard. Bharata said, I can't see my brother in this column, in this posture. Mrigajine soyamiha pravaste dharmamacharan soyam jata bharamimam sahate raghava katham. Bharata said, how dare you leave me and Ayodhya and come, Rama? Please come back to Ayodhya. I fall at your feet. I am doing Sharanagathy at your feet. Please come back. Rama said, see, I have promised our dear father that for 14 years I will be in the forest. I will come back. Your Sharanagati shall be fructified. But after 14 years. See, if it has just been 1 week, Bharata, that I have come to the forest. If I go back to Ayodhya just because you have called, it will be like one of the current leaders who may seem as if they are going to jail after corruption charges, but in 1 week they come back. It should not be a hogwash. I will go. I will come back. And that time Java Ali comes. Java Ali is one of the ministers to Dasharatha. He comes and says, what is this Pitruvakya Paripalanam, Rama? Huh? People say that they have great affection to their parents and grandparents. Once they are departed, once a year, they do Pinda Pradanam, saying that my father's Jivatma will be very happy. What Jivatma? What Pinda Pradanam? Javali says, it may seem like a modern debate. He says, see, the sperm from the father fertilizes the ovum in the mother. We stay for 9 months and come out. This is the only relationship that we have with our parents. Pitru Vakya Paripalanam. What are you talking? Bijamatram pita janto shakram shonitam evacha sanyuktam rutuman matra purushasyeha janmatat. People say, friend in need is a friend indeed, friendship is a great value. What value? Your father is dead and gone. Why should you fulfill his promise? What promise? Come back. So his thought was, if he talks this way, Rama will come back. Rama said, Jabali, I often thought that my father committed no mistake in his life. But he has committed one by having you as his minister. Sanasti paramityetat kurubuddhi mahamate. Don't talk like Buddha and his Buddhist followers, he says. Yathahi choraha satatahi buddhas tatagatam nastikametra viddhi. Don't talk like Buddha and his followers. This is a verse. Now you may be wondering, what, sir? Buddha came much later. Ramayana is much before, correct? Remember, there are 5 Buddhas in our history. The last Buddha is whom we know of the 500 BC. He was called Gautama Siddhartha, born at Lumbini. Then he became Buddham Charanam Gacchami, Sangam Charanam Gacchami, Dharmam Charanam Gacchami. Then there were sutras written in Buddhism. They were called Abhidhamma texts. Those who followed those aspects of the sutras were called Sautrantikas. Those who followed the Vibhasa were called Vaibhashikas, Yogachara. These are the classifications of Buddhism. All this came much later. But the thought process of Buddhism is Kshanikavadam. Sarvam dukkham dukkham, sarvam shunyam shunyam, sarvam kshanikam kshanikam, sarvam swalakshanam swalakshanam. I'm not getting deeper into Buddhism. But remember, if you have to learn Vedanta texts in those days under a proper Acharya, we are all taught Buddhism for 1 year. So we will learn what is the philosophy of Buddhism. By the end of it, we will be half Buddhist. Then the next 1 year, we will have the Khandanam. Why Ramanuja refuted Buddhism? 1 year we will have. So we have to learn Jainism. So Buddhism is a philosophy. People who propagate that philosophy are called Buddha. There were many Buddhas. During the times of Rama as well, this philosophy was prevalent. So he says, do not talk Nastikavadam like Buddhists, because Buddhists are called Nastikas. Today Nastika means non-believer. No. People who do not believe in the presence of Atma and the departure of Atma are called Nastika in Vedanta language. Okay, that is a deeper topic. Now we are dealing with the Samanya Shastram called Ramayanam. Vedanta is a different lecture. Now, he says, do not talk like Buddha and his followers. Then, Bharata, he says, don't talk such great things, Rama, you have to come back to Ayodhya. How will Rama convince Bharata? Bharata has performed Sharanagathy. As per Shastram, if you perform Sharanagathy, you have to fulfill it. So Rama wanted to return after 14 years. For the time gap of 14 years, he had to give a substitute. That time Vasishta said, Rama, you give that. Immediately Rama said, okay, I'll give that. Lakshmana, go and bring that. The media people there were wondering, what is that? They started zooming their cameras. Secret. Some secret weapon. So they focused at the door of the hermitage because Lakshmana had gone to pick up that. What is that? Then they all got slippers. And Lakshmana is holding at the top of his head and drinking. For us it is slippers, right? In Sanātana Dharma, the footwear of great acharyas is called Paduka. Now don't apply that word to ours. In our house we should not say, go take that Paduka. For us it is slipper. Nobody will revere ours. Ours is slipper, Bata or whatever brand you have got. So Acharya Maravadi is called Paduka. So Padukas were brought. See, if in case Vasishta had asked me, Dushyant, go bring that, I would have worn that Padukas and come. I will not put them at the top of my head. Lakshmana had. Then he put that on ground. Then Rama got atop those Padukas. Adhiroharya padabhyam paduke hema bhushite yete hi sarvalokasya yogakshemam vidhasyatah. Adhiroharya padabhyam paduke hema bhushite. That Paduka which was laden in gold, Rama stood atop that Padukas, got down, and then he said, Bharata, you take it. Bharata immediately, thank you, Rama. And he took those Padukas and went away. This is the incident described in Ramayanam, 4-5 shlokas. Bharata asked, Vasishta intervened, Lakshmana went in, brought it, Rama stood atop it, gave that to Bharata. Correct? 5 shlokas. These 5 shlokas of the importance of Padukas were extrapolated meticulously, extravagantly, beautifully, aesthetically by a polymath, a sagacious dietitian, a lesser known mathematician, a consummate dramatist, a poet extraordinaire, a polymath himself called as Vedanta Deshika in the 13th century into 1008 shlokas called as Paduka Sahasram. 1008 shlokas. What is the subject? Paduka. And how long did he take? 3 hours. In 3 hours, in the early hours of the morning between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., he created a magnum opus in the Sanskritam language called as Paduka Sahasram. To recite that, it takes 6 hours. He composed that in 2 hours. Probably he was ambidextrous. He was writing one shloka on the other, second on the other. 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, 6th year. In the due course, he ended up solving a knight's tour problem which comes in the Chitrakuta of how a knight moves in a chessboard. He came up with the Ardha Brahmarakam, Shadara Chakram. The beauty, the magic that he created in Paduka Sahasram itself is a topic in itself. Well, now I have to tell you about Paduka Sahasram. I cannot leave Paduka Sahasram in a Ramayanam lecture as well. Now Bharata accepts the Padukas and goes to which place?
Ayodhya.
He will not enter Ayodhya because Ayodhya is a place of comforts. When his brother is suffering in the forest, why will he go? He went to the outskirts of Ayodhya called Nandigrama. In that Nandigrama there was no Mamata. So he went to Nandigramam, brought the Simhasanam of Ayodhya, placed the Padukas on the Simhasanam, and he was holding the Chatram and doing Chamara Kainkaryam. So, remember, there were many kings who ruled Ayodhya. Ikshvaku, Mandhata, Aja, Dilipa, Asamanjas, Amshuman, Bhagirata, Sagara, Raghu. And after Dasharatha, who ruled Ayodhya? Paduka Devi. Paduka in Sanskritam is Trilinga Shabdam. Paduka is a queen. A queen ruled Ayodhya. Then came Rama. The queen ruled for 14 years. Then came Ramarajyam. In Ramarajyam there is an accusation that a pregnant lady called Sita was sent to the forest. There is an accusation even in Ramarajyam. But there is no accusation in Paduka Rajyam. Vedanta Deshika says, look at my Paduka Devi, no scam, no allegation. Nothing in the 14 years. When Paduka Amma rules, no allegation, no problem. So, now, who brought the Padukas from the, now full question and answer, you have to be very alert. Who brought the Padukas from the ashramam to Rama? Lakshmana. Who took the Padukas from Rama on his head again? Bharata. As per Srimad Ramayanam, Rama was Narayana himself. Adisesha was Lakshmana. Shankham and Chakram were Bharata and Shatrughna. So, the Lord's Nityasuris were born as his brothers. Now, who is serving Paduka Devi? Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrughna. Why? Vedanta Deshika asks. He comes up with a beautiful incident. He tells, once in Vaikuntham, Sri Vaikuntham, the Lord had left along with Mahalakshmi to some garden. So, while leaving along with Mahalakshmi, he did not want to take his weapons. See, when he wants to have some private moment with his wife, who will have an AK-47, Shankam, Chakram. So, he left all his Ayudhams and went away. He kept all the Ayudhams on Adisesha. That day, in the absence of the Lord and the consort Mahalakshmi, the servant maid came. She had to sweep Vaikuntha. So the Padukas of the Lord were left on the floor. So she took those Padukas and kept it on Adisesha. Sir, does this happen? See, that happens in the US for me. Whenever I go to the airports, they will ask me to take everything out and have to keep, if I'm wearing a chain, they will take that chain, everything. I have to take laptop separately, this separately. So, generally, let me follow some acharam. So, I'll keep, see, my laptop will have great acharya's photo, great books. So, I kept my laptop in one tray and my Padukas in the other tray. That man was a practicing Advaiti. He said there should be no second tray. He put my Padukas on the laptop. Adhiroharya padabhyam paduke hema bhushite. How can I make him understand inside that there is Govindaraji and there is Padukas as nothing? He was of the great philosophical bent of mind. There is no second. Ekameva Advitiya. So this servant maid who came to Vaikuntham, she took the Padukas and kept on Adisesha. Now Adisesha, Shankham, Chakram, they started eye gesturing each of them. See who's sitting along with us? This Paduka, which is fit to go to the shoe stand, is sitting on me. Adisesha said, Shankham and Chakram, look what audacity she has got to sit with us. Paduka Devi started weeping. That Adisesha, Shankham and Chakram have insulted her. When the Lord came and put his legs into the Paduka, he thought the Padukas were wet. He took his leg out and asked, Paduka Devi, what happened? I'm shedding tears. Adisesha, Shankham and Chakram, they insulted me. The Lord said, don't worry, in Rama Avataram, all three of them will end up serving you. So, Adiseshamsha Lakshmana took the Padukas on his head. Bharata and Shatrughna, Shankham and Chakram served Paduka, says Vedanta Deshika in one shlokam. Nati grame charana Paduka padapitam yadvasannam paramiha sada bhati rajasanasya purvatraiva pranihitam abhudvanva ramena rajyam shankhe bhartur bahumita padam vikrame sahacharyam. Vedanta Deshika says, if I have to describe the greatness, elucidate the greatness of Padukas, give me a paper. What paper should it be? The entire sky should become the paper, it seems. What should be the ink? The blue hue which is attached to the 7 oceans should be extracted from the waters and should be filled as the ink from the 7 oceans. Who should be the one who should be speaking the greatness of Padukas as he writes? The 1,000-hooded Adisesha should speak. So the sky should be the paper, the blue hue from the oceans should be the ink, and the speaker should be the 1,000-hooded Adisesha. Nissesham ambaratalam yadi patrikasyar saptarnavi yadi sametya mashi bhavitri bhakta sahasra vadanaha purusha swayam chet Likheda Rangapadi Padukayor Prabhavaha. Vedanta Deshika wrote this 750 years back. One of the Tamil movies lyricist says, Kadal Kadidam Thittave Megamellam Kagidam Vanin Neelam Konduva Penamayo Tindidum. Prashant looks at Simran and says, this is copyright problem. They have taken from Vedanta Deshika. But Deshika is a very humble person. You use it for your movies or what, at least you are using Padukas as. Now, Vedanta Deshika says, who is Rama's first wife? Sir, Rama had only one wife. You are saying first wife? Because Paduka is Strilingam. So before marrying Sita, he married Paduka, correct? Even before marrying her, he was wearing Padukas, right? So Sita is the first wife. Paduka is the first wife, Sita is the second wife. Whom is he attached to? See, he is attached to Padukas because while going to the forest, he said, Sita, don't come. Correct? Because he wanted to have some private moments with Paduka Devi. So Vedanta Deshika says, see, now you tell me whom is he more attached to? Paduka only. Next, he says, why is he more attached to Paduka? In another shloka he says, because one listens to what he says. Paduka, come with me. She says, okay, I'll come. Go with Bharata, okay, I will go. Sita, don't come to the forest, I will come. Don't ask for the deer, I will ask. So he likes the obedient Paduka compared to the disobedient Sita. See, you may be wondering, with one small incident in Ayodhya Kandam, look at the poetic imagination what Vedanta Deshika comes up with. Now, one more beautiful shloka. I have not been quoting the shlokas, it will take more time. Another exquisite shloka, you will be amazed. See, when probably some of our families or our ancestors, they had some financial problems in those days. They were not all with all the riches at one point in time. So when there was a marriage in the house, or probably they had to construct a house, they may end up pledging their jewelry, if you've heard of it. Those children who have grown up here may not even understand what. Probably here there's something called mortgage, right? Very similar to that. So you pledge jewelry because India is a land of gold and silver, so you end up pledging. So there will be one Bapa Lal, Himal Lal jewelry, some jewelry will be there, you go and pledge. See, suppose this chain is worth, it is giving you an example, 200 USD dollars. This is the worth of this chain. I am pledging this, pawning this at the jewelry shop. How much will I get? Roughly. Don't tell me don't pawn. Just like that. Pawn 100. So $200, I may get $100 from the pawnbroker. Correct? I pledge something of a greater value, and what I receive is half its value or less value. Correct? Rama had to walk the forest for 14 years to annihilate the demons for fulfilling his promise made to the Devas. So to carry out this mission, Ravana, he had to excuse himself. He cannot go back to Ayodhya. He had to go back to the forest way down south. So if he has to excuse himself, he has to pledge something to the pawnbroker Bharata which is twice his value. So Rama pledged Paduka Devi, who is more valuable than him, and excused himself, which is half the value, to fulfill the task. So Vedanta Deshika says, now you tell me whether you want $100 worth Rama or $200 worth Paduka Devi. He says, Padavani prabhavato jagatam trayanam ramadapitvamadhika niyatam prabhavat no chet kathannu bharadasya tameva lipso pratyayanam paripanam bhavati bhavitri. Another incident. When Vasishtha said, Rama go bring that, Rama said, Lakshmana go bring that, Padukas were brought. What did Rama do? What should Rama have done? He should have told, Lakshmana, you're bringing those Padukas, right? Give them to Bharata, correct? But what did he do in the intermediate way? He asked Lakshmana to keep the Padukas on the floor, stood atop them, got down from them, and then said, Bharata, take it. Isn't this surprising? Vedanta Deshika says, because he wanted to get himself charged for 14 years from the Paduka Devi. He stood on the Paduka Devi, took some energy from her so that he can do all his tasks for 14 years. Another thing. Who has created the entire universe? As per Sanātana Dharma, Brahma. He is called Prajapati. Who has created Brahma? Through his Nabhi, Vishnu. Who is Vishnu now? Rama. Who is carrying Rama? Paduka. So isn't Paduka greater than the Lord? Simple, A greater than B greater than C greater than D, so A is greater than D. Another beautiful example Vedanta Deshika gives. Every shloka is a masterpiece. There are like that 1,008 shlokas. One more shloka. It seems a lion, the lioness and a cub, Mr. Lion and family. They were watching something on the TV, entertainment, inside a cave. Suddenly they heard the scream of an elephant. The scream seemed as if the elephant was challenging the lion. So the lion, along with the lioness, along with the cub, went to the entrance of the cave and looked at the elephant, which was a 10-trunked elephant. So looking at this 10-trunked elephant, the lion looked at the lioness and the cub and said, Lioness, take the cub inside. I will manage. I will go and come. Vedanta Deshika says, this is Ramayanam. Huh? You talked about some lion king. Huh? And now you're telling Singham returns. Who what is this? Ramayanam here. Who is the lion? Rama. Along with the lioness and the cub, he was enjoying his life in Ayodhya, which is inside the cave. Rama, along with the lioness and the cub, as soon as hearing the wail of the elephant, the scream of the elephant, who was the 10-headed Ravana, came till the entrance of the cave, which is Chitrakuta, and said, I will go forward, win the elephant and come. Lioness, you take the cub inside. Who is the lioness? Sita will retire. Then Sita has to return to Ayodhya. Paduka. Who is the cub? Bharata. We all think that Bharata supported the Padukas. No. Paduka Devi nurtured Bharata and took care of him. So this is being brought together in a beautiful verse. Dashagrivastambe ramadalana durdanta hridaye viharasvachandya dvishadiravusimhe vanabhuvam swavatsalya krodi krita bharata shaveva bhavati nirabadham padavanina vijahau kosalaguham. One last description. I am not able to have written at least 50 verses for today, but I cannot recite one more verse. Beautiful verse. Paduka is very important of the Lord. We have also discussed how she is very important, more important than the Lord. That is why even today, besides the Lord, we do Paduka Aradhanam of the Acharyas. Commemorating this incident, in many Sri Vaishnava families, you will hear Paduka Aradhanam of their Acharya, be it the Acharya of Ahobila Matham, Mandavanashramam, Parakala Matham and so on. And in Smartha Sampradayam, there has been a trend to do Aradhanam for Mahaperiyava's Paduka. This has been going on. So there is something called Paduka Tirtham. After doing Abhishekam to the Padukas, they will offer some Tirtham. Have you heard of Acharya Sripada Tirtham? In those days, to do Shapa Vimochanam, they would ask the Acharyas to give Sripada Tirtham. What does Sripada Tirtham mean? He will walk, he will wash his legs and give that water. No. After he takes bath, the moment he comes out, he will keep his foot on a silver patram. The water will touch his first finger on the toe. And then the water that comes is called Sripada Tirtham. His feet will not be washed. Okay, now this Paduka Tirtham is very important. Where was Paduka Tirtham given in Srimad Ramayana? In Nandigramam, every morning Bharata would wake up at 2 a.m., bring some waters in a golden pot from Sarayu river, wash the Padukas of Rama, and then take that water, sprinkle on his head, sprinkle on the head of Shatrugna, and the remaining Paduka Tirtham will be there. He will put that back to Sarayu. He will take waters from the Sarayu, do Paduka Aradhanam, and Paduka Tirtham will go back to Sarayu. Later in Yuddha Kandam, Rama wishes to construct a bridge on the ocean. For that he wants the clearance of Samudra Raja. Samudra Raja, despite Rama being on a prayopavesham for 3 days, refuses to heed to his request. He doesn't come. So Rama gets really angry. I must teach the Samudra Raja a lesson. He says, Lakshmana chapamanaya saumitre. Oh, you son of Sumitra, get my bow and the quiver of arrows. I will teach this man a lesson. Lakshmana was always interested in Yuddham. No Samadhanam, only Dandam. Sarasa Samadana Bhedadanda Chatura. Lakshmana was an angry young man. That day, he brought one small matchstick. Rama said, what will I do with this matchstick? Go get my arrow. Then he got something bigger than that darbha grass. What are you doing? Get me my quiver of arrows. Why was Lakshmana reluctant to bring the quiver of arrows? Because Lakshmana knew at heart that he will not be able to see Rama losing a war. Rama will always win, but he will lose this war if he fights Samudra Raja. Why? Because the Paduka Tirtham of Rama in Sarayu is now in the ocean. Because Paduka Tirtham is in the ocean, even if Rama fights, he will fail and will be defeated before Paduka Tirtham. So Lakshmana did not want Rama to lose, because even for Rama, before him, if Paduka Devi stands, he will lose. So Lakshmana refused to bring the quiver of arrows, it seems. He says, Sambidhyamana tamasa sarayupanitaihi samvardhitastava shubhair abhishekatoyehi manye babhuva jaladhir manipada rakshe ramastrapadavashikabhira soshaniyaha. So, every verse of Paduka Sahasram is a beauty. And where did this Paduka Sahasram get its inspiration from? From those 4 verses of Ramayana, Adiroharya Padabhyam Paduke Hema Bhushite. So Paduka Pattabhishekam is done. Bharata goes to Nandigramam. Rama along with Sita, they continue their sojourn. They go to the hermitage of Atri and Anasuya. Atri was a great rishi. People who come in Atri Kulam are called Atreyas. Any Atreya Gotram here? Very good. Atreya Gotram. So, Vedanta Deshika's mother hailed from Atreya Gotram. They belong to a family called Kidambi. Kidambis are generally Atreya Gotrakaras. So, Atri's son was a great sannyasi. He was called Datta. Since Datta came in the lineage of Atreya, he was called Dattatreya. So, there is a beautiful kriti, Dattatreya Trimurti Rupa Tribhuvana Loka Rakshaka Kamadhenu Kalpa Vriksha Kamida Phaladayaka. So, Dattatreya, often we somehow, I don't know where this iconography has come from. Dattatreya will be holding a Trushulam. There will be 3 faces, there will be one dog, one cow, one bull. All this is not there in Shastram. Dattatreya was a Tridandi sannyasi. He was a sannyasi with 3 dandams, 3 sticks put together, bamboo sticks put together. He was a sannyasi. In Mahabharatam, in Virata Parva, Yudhishthira goes in incognito. Correct? In Virata Desham, what was his role called? What was he called? Draupadi was a hairdresser, Sairandrika. Arjuna became a Yanak, he became a dance teacher called Brahannada. What was Yudhishthira? He was a sannyasi. They often don't show him as a sannyasi. In Mahabharata, he is a sannyasi. Madhvacharya in Mahabharata Tatparya Chandrika confirms this. He was called Kanka. Well, so now Rama goes to Atri Anasuya Ashramam. Anasuya calls and then asks Sita, I have heard that your marriage to Rama was a treat to the eyes of the people who attended. Somehow, due to old age, I was not able to attend. Can you please describe how your marriage happened? So, Sita's marriage is described in detail in Ayodhya Kandam by Sita to Anasuya. She tells me, my father gave me 2 necklaces. He promised to give me another one from my return to Ayodhya. From Ayodhya, I am going to ask him for that necklace. She tells him all the list. That time, she also gives her jewelry. She says, I have got some jewelry. Because of my old age, I am not wearing. You wear that jewelry. So, these are the jewels that Sita throws later, so that these jewelry can become the route for Rama to search for her. Her original jewelry she is not ready to part with, remember. So often we think that these jewelry were given, again she became a lady with Rudraksham and lotus seeds. No, she was having her step chain and all that ready. This jewelry, what Anasuya gave, that was anyways a gift. So no problem if that goes away. So she threw it. Then she gives her one paste so that can be applied. She tells people can smell good smell from you if you apply this paste. All that comes in Ayodhya Kandam. So with this Paduka Pattabhishekam, we have roughly covered close to 7,000 verses out of 24,000 verses. 4 days it has taken. Tomorrow it is Aranya Kandam, which is Shabari Moksham, and Jatayu Moksham as well tomorrow. I don't know, tomorrow is Shabari Moksham and Jatayu Moksham. Thursday is going to be Sugreeva Pattabhishekam. Friday is Sundarakandam, Anguleeya Pradanam. Saturday is Vibheeshana Sharanagathy. Sunday is Rama Pattabhishekam. So, on behalf of the temple authorities, the board members, the volunteers, and of course on behalf of myself as well, very grateful, because on a weekday, you have all come, people from all age groups, young people, working people, elderly people, all of you have come to listen to a lecture, despite knowing that there is an online link as well. Online link does help for people who cannot travel, who are challenged, who cannot come. Nevertheless, you will agree with me, listening to a discourse in person and online has a difference. There is a difference. In that discourse, you can pause. If I am boring, you can pause. Pause. Because the pause button will be exactly on my mouth. You click that. Whereas in a live discourse, you have no option. I'll keep on going for 2 hours, 10 minutes. So tomorrow is the 5th day. It is the mid of Srimad Ramayanam. Tomorrow we will experience Aranyakandam. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Yayena Margena Mahimmahisha Ubrahmanebhya Shubham Astu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Namaskar.
Come on,